Hello, gladiators! Welcome back to another episode of the life and suffering of Sir Bronte. Last time we left off, we just went to a party, and there we learned a valuable lesson from Baron Elquois. We upgraded our valor and scheming, so let's go ahead and get back into it. Oh, the sound design in this is so good. Game, you alright? There you go. Just need a little bit of prompting. There are days when you receive letters from home. Father's writing is very reserved. He mostly discusses events and work in Magra and writes very little about the family. It makes me proud that I have managed to teach Stefan how to handle our affairs at home. Your older brother behaves impeccably at the society balls and receptions that we host. He has already made several crucial acquaintances. But Gloria has a different opinion of Stephen. She thinks your older brother is taking more and more after grandfather. Stefan is a lot like grandfather. It's in his manners, his posture, his voice. He even dresses just like him. He used to be aloof around me and we barely talked in the past, but now he always blames me and tears me apart. I can't take it anymore. He walks all over me all the time and treats me like a housemate. Mother writes to you. From her letters, you learn that Nathan just barely managed to graduate from school. It makes me sad to admit that Nathan has none of the talents you have. The other day he told me he won't even try to study in the capital. He says he won't be able to pass the exams. I find solace only in the nights Nathan and I spend together reading the scriptures and our walks to the church by the silver tree. He accompanies me every time. Your sister and younger brother write about Mother too, and they say the same thing about her health. She now spends more time locked away in her chambers to brood. Gloria does her best to accompany Mother when she leaves home, and Nathan's letters mention her steps echoing in the halls in the middle of the night. There is one more thing Nathan mentions in his letters. Stefan and Gloria have been fighting very often these days. Stefan always tries to get under Gloria's skin, and she answers him in kind. Then Stefan calls her a lowly commoner to make her shut up. You always tremble in excitement each time you see a new letter with the seal of your home province. Your fate is still bound tightly to your families, no matter the distance between you. Oh, what? Hey. Okay, Gloria, there's no reason for that. Oh, because I've been away from home. I was wondering why all my family relationships were going down the drain. You will become a judge one day, so you are sent to the prefecture of Eterna to be mentored by a more experienced colleague. Your mentor is a judge of considerable age, a noble of the mantle with a proud bearing about him. He never misses a chance to remind you that being mentored by such an experienced man of office is a great honor. Your mentor entrusts you with his minor cases, and to his great joy, his night shift. Another night begins, the office is growing darker. You are still there, zealously filling out the paperwork for the day. A petty theft, a verbal assault against a noble of the sword by a commoner, a fine for the parents of children who covered an imperial institution with obscene drawings. Petty cases, all of them. But they are real cases a judge has to face. So you sit there and carefully comparing complaints, statements, and witness testimony. Then the door of your office swings open. A gendarme drags in a provocatively dressed girl. Her golden hair is undone and her makeup is a fiery red. Girls like her sell their bodies in houses of ill repute. The next to enter the office is a stout priest, his face adorned by a nose of a remarkable shape and a huge wart on his cheek. You do your best to avoid staring at it. The gendarme gives his report. The girl was arrested with a certain gentleman in the park by the Temple of the Twins. They were commuting acts of carnality, an affront to the faith. The huffing and puffing priest interrupts him and starts yelling. He saw her doing magic. He did. The gentleman was enthralled by the girl and he was glowing like a lamppost. You gesture for the priest to stay quiet and ask if the gendarme can prove this. The gendarme only shrugs. He didn't see anyone glowing. He arrested the girl for her sacrilegious conduct alone. The man in her company was a noble, so the gendarme couldn't bring himself to arrest him. He does, however, remember his name. The priest is huffing and puffing even louder now. It was magic. He screams. You must refer this case to the Inquisition. This witch was loose on the streets of the Empire's illustrious capital, seducing good men with her vile charms. The girl stays quiet all the while. Her eyes are emerald green, twinkling with gold as she looks at you. When she does speak, her voice is soft, like smooth velvet. My name is Alis, Your Honor. All I did was obey the noble gentleman's wish. He wanted my affection right by the temple, and I dared not oppose him. I did not defy my lot, did I? The wench looks up and meets your gaze as she says these words. Her eyes reflect the candlelight in the dusk, sending sparks of gold dancing across the walls. The gendarme stands awkwardly by the door, sighing. The priest goes off on another rant. You tell him to be quiet. This day is not over yet. You must decide how to resolve this unusual case on your own. The law says a judge must investigate all circumstances related to a case. You know the name of the nobleman who was seen with this girl in the throes of passion. The gendarme was afraid to question him, but you are a future nobleman yourself, a young judge. Surely you can find a way to resolve this matter with discretion and get the information you need from the nobleman. But perhaps the suspicious lady of evening, Alice, is at the heart of the matter. You have no doubt she will reveal her true colors if you question her. If the priest was right about her using magic, the girl's fate is sealed. Your Honor. You look up from your desk and into the eyes of the beautiful Alice, and you suddenly feel as though a divine light is shining upon you. This emotion flows like a river. It lifts you up. This is more than beauty, more than passion. This is much, much more. Will you resist this call, or will you heed it? Diplomacy? I do need to get some willpower up, but diplomacy is always good. I feel like we need a little bit more. What are the stats that we get here? Manipulation, theology, and willpower. We don't use those a terrible amount, but we should really, I think we should find the nobleman. Do this through the proper channels. You tell the gendarme to take the girl to a holding cell. Her eyes are filled with chagrin and pity as the man takes her away. You compose a polite and thorough letter to Sir Diego El Catois, the nobleman seen with the girl in question. You delicately hint that his reputation will be safe and promise full confidentiality. When you come to the office the next morning, you see a nervous young nobleman waiting at the door. You must be Judge Bronte, he says. You meet Sir El Catois with a dignified greeting and start questioning him on the case of Alice the harlot. Is it true that the two of them ended up in the Temple Park because this was Sir El Catois' wish? He says he barely remembers last night. He was quite inebriated and determined to have a good time. He spotted Alice by accident. She was standing under a lamppost by the temple. As for the Temple Park, he does not quite remember why they ended up there. You take his statement in accordance with established procedure. Next question. Would Sir El Catois say his mind was clouded by the young woman? The nobleman turns red. He asks quietly, Haven't you seen the lass yourself, Sir Bronte? How could anyone ignore her? Still, you ask, was there anything suspicious about her? He speaks slowly. Yes, it was as though she could see every desire. He was happy beyond measure in her embrace. It felt like the gods themselves were smiling at him, Sir El Catois. And yet, perhaps it was merely the wine and her beauty and nothing else. You thank the young nobleman for his honesty and promise to keep his statement a carefully guarded secret. You sentence the harlot to 2 days in a pillory for defiling a place of worship with her depravity. You find no reason to refer Alice to the Inquisition, however. You write case closed on Alice's file and put it in the archives. Alice's death has been prevented. We saved the enigmatic singer known as the Golden Voice from an untimely death. We are now 19 years old. Two major events take place while you are busy living your life. Firstly, Cornelius Tempest is no longer the great chancellor of the empire. He has been ousted and sent back to his province. His replacement is the Archduke of Monia, Agarius Monrogue, the same Monrogue who sought to shut down the college. The most powerful lord in the realm finally convinced the emperor that his brother Cornelius was giving too much freedom to the lowborn. Now the policies of the empire will be reversed. Many fear that the new great chancellor will destroy the imperial code of laws and other achievements of Cornelius. There are cautious rumors among the people. They say the new great chancellor is going to revoke the right of the common lot to be ennobled by the mantle. Secondly, Magra, your homeland, now has a new overseer, Gaius Tempest, the other brother of Emperor Uther II. Usually the overseer of a province is its archduke, After all, it makes sense for the province's most powerful noble to impart the emperor's will to the locals. Yet now this age-old tradition has been broken, and to no one's surprise, Archduke Tarquinius Melanidas is absolutely furious. Gaius Tempest used to be the main supporter of his brother, former Great Chancellor Cornelius Tempest. The nobles at the emperor's court say this is a stratagem by the Arcanian gentry, who want Gaius removed from court affairs along with Cornelius. Either way, Gaius Tempest and Tarquinius Melanidas will be at each other's throats over the province. This does not bode well for their future. Now, I'm getting a better look at Melanidas right here. I think it might be Melanitis. But that sounds like the inflammation of the Milans, so I'm going to keep calling him Melanidas. Only one thing is clear. Magra, your home province, is about to face great changes. There is peace in the land, but a struggle for power. The capital is preparing for a great celebration, the coming of age of Jarian Tempest, heir to the throne. The streets are being cleaned, the lowborn merchants are gone from the squares, and flags and flower garlands have appeared on the buildings. By the Emperor's decree, everyone will celebrate for the next 3 days. Eterna is abuzz. A festive procession starts on the streets. Students from the college and cadets from the military academy will be there to show their gratitude to the Emperor's family for entrusting them with the power they wield. Ribbons and flags flutter in the wind, the streets are scrubbed clean, and the scent of flowers fills the air. You march side by side with Thomas, carrying the banner of your province. Your friend's brown hair is unusually well combed today. He waves to every girl you see on the streets as you pass by. They giggle shyly, and some of them wave back. Did you see that, pal? Look at that beauty. She just smiled at me. Now this is what I call living. I just love parades. The Tempest royal family observes the slowly approaching parade from the balcony of the Imperial Palace. They are joined by the Empire's highest dignitaries and provincial overseers. You see Emperor Uther II with your own eyes. There, high above, yet so close. The columns come to a halt at the balcony and salute the Emperor with the mottos of the college and the academy. You join the other college students in crying, "Learning is strength, learning is will." The Emperor raises his hand in a gesture of benevolent greeting. His voice echoes across the square. Why? Did you guys see that? His eyes glow gold. Am I crazy, or is that actually happening? I think that there was again. Either that or the color grading on my laptop is going wrong. I accept your gratitude, my loyal subjects. Take pride as you wield your knowledge and valor in service of the Empire. All who are worthy will be ennobled by the mantle, by my grace. The future nobles around you cheer the Emperor's words, but their jubilation gives way to murmurs of discontent when Archduke Monroe, the new Great Chancellor of the Empire, steps into the balcony. Everyone here remembers all too well how the Archduke attempted to shut down the college by force. Still, the Archduke is the de facto leader of the Arcanian gentry. He's a force to be reckoned with, even for the Emperor, and so he's the Great Chancellor now. Hail your emperors, common folk. Be forever obedient and grateful for the good graces you do not deserve by birth. The Archduke does not even bother to hide his contempt for the gathering below. Booed by the crowds, he rejoins the dignitaries in the back row. You notice one of them, a slender, elegant figure, an emerald banner with a black snake. She is Octavia Melanidas, daughter to the Archduke of Magra. Well, that's new. You noticed Octavia too, eh? Our Archduke Melanidas sent his daughter in his stead? That's a sign of disrespect for the Emperor if I've ever seen one. Is he so enraged because he's no longer the overseer of Magra? I mean, you can imagine his surprise. That's never happened before. But then everyone grows silent. A young, slender Arcanian with a shy smile comes forward. There are whispers in the crowd. That's Prince Jarian, heir to the throne. Ward of Cornelius, promise and hope of the common estate. To the left of Jarian is his younger brother Flavius. He is baffled at the sight of the parade below, too young to process what he is seeing. May the twins be kind to you, my future subjects. I promise to repay you in kind and help you prosper in your loyal service to the Empire. Exalted by these words, the future nobles roar as one. All hail Prince Jarian! Another figure steps into view next to the heir. He is an Archnean, elegantly dressed, and his mantle bears the Tempest colors. He raises his arms, about to make a speech. Hey look, that's Gaius Tempest, the Emperor's brother. No overseer of Magra, by the by. It seems the Archnean elders want him as far from the throne as possible, just like his other brother Cornelius. Those two have been promising too many freedoms to commoners like you and me. Long live Prince Jarian, students of the college, cadets of the academy. Time and again you have proven yourselves to the Empire by word and deed. Today is a day of great celebration, and in honor of Prince Jarian, you must ask the Emperor to guarantee forever the right of distinguished common folk to be ennobled by the mantle. So ask now. The cadets and students freeze in hesitation. They exchange glances, unsure whether to follow the words of the Emperor's own brother. On the balcony high above, Prince Jarian also remains still, awaiting a reaction from the crowd. Archduke Monroe briskly steps into view once more. He takes several seconds to observe the crowd before he speaks. Imperial subjects, what the Emperor's brother wishes to say is that you must always remember that you owe your status to the Tempest dynasty. The Emperor accepts your gratitude and sends you off with his blessing. You may leave now. But the columns stay where they are. That's not what Gaius Tempest said. Let the Emperor hear us. The law. We ask for the law. Commotion and murmurs spread over the crowd as some of the future nobles refuse to follow the Archduke's order. There are shouts heard here and there. The law. We ask for the law. The academy officers and teachers of the college urge them to fall in line and resume the parade, but tension is rising. The crowd slowly grows enraged and unruly. You have to decide where you stand here. Ooh, more diplomacy, more valor. You follow the orders from above and direct your column to withdraw from the square. Demand your rights, or bide our time. We do need to get willpower back up, but we've got a little bit of time, don't we? Let's go ahead and get diplomacy up and become influential. We lose power, but we do gain order. I kind of want to demand my rights. Become real valorous. I'm gonna demand the rights. You cry out in support of Gaius Tempest's call for the law. You have the right to be heard and you have the right to ask. Your voice grows stronger. Soon others join you. The chant grows louder with every second. The law, the law. Inspired by the support of your fellow students and cadets, you move through the square and urge others to join you. Thomas walks by your side, waving his arms wildly, inciting others to shout along with you. The law! The law! You, Thomas, and the other vocal students and cadets gather in the very center of the square. Academy officers are trying to shout you into submission and order you back into the procession, but they are barely heard above your chant. Still, some submit and form back into the columns, but the impassioned chant continues, and you are at the very heart of the chanting crowd. An Imperial Guard cavalry regiment emerges from the palace. They start slowly advancing on the crowd, hands on their swords, pushing people out on the square. You have to stand your ground, so you start giving orders to defend the cobblestones beneath your feet with your fellow future nobles. You assemble into a double chain formation around the center of the square. It is strong enough to prevent the Imperial Guard from reaching the very center. The commoners go running left and right away from the horses, but the cavalry stops when it reaches your double chain. They cannot break through unless they are ordered to attack, so they halt and wait for orders. The horses paw at the cobblestones, the cavalry swords are drawn, ready to come crashing down upon your heads. It is a standoff between the armor-clad cavalry and the unarmed students and cadets. Oh yeah, he got glowy eyes. Emperor Uther II appears on the balcony again, joined by his brother Gaius Tempest and heir to the throne Jarian Tempest. With a gesture, the Emperor calls for attention. The square falls silent at the sight of the sovereign. My subjects, I have heard your request. There is no need to repeat it again and again. The great Imperial Council shall review my brother's proposal. Now follow your lot and obey my will. Continue the parade and sing the praises to the ever-merciful Prince Jarian. These words from the Emperor are enough to quell the commotion in the square. The standoff ends and the cavalry withdraws. Well, would you look at that, old friend? We did it. We stood up for our noble right and we won. That's the Emperor's word. That's what our courage can do. Voices from the crowd are quick to disprove Thomas. The Emperor never gave his word, he only promised to review the proposal. People begin to argue around you again. This time, however, no one wishes to disobey the orders from on high, and so the students line up into columns once again. The bout of defiance is in the past now, and everyone resumes the festive parade with the city streets. Glory to Emperor Uther. Glory to Prince Jerian. We're 2 away from becoming a seasoned warrior? I feel like we need to get diplomacy up at least once more. We got a little bit more time. Your studies at the college come easily to you, only now do you realize the importance of all the lessons you had to endure as a child at father's expense. Month after month, you studied the judge's trade down to the smallest details, growing more confident in your new calling with every lecture. But there is more to your education than the judge's trade and imperial law. You also learn manners and courtly etiquette and poetry and composition and even fencing. On some days you go with Thomas to a deserted patch of land to practice with the sword. Then finally the day of your judge's exam comes. You send your test results to father, and he replies with an appointment to a judge's office at the prefecture of Magra. Now you have a new life and a new profession back home. You'll return to your hometown as a judge. It is early morning at the great temple of the twins. Your heart skips a beat as you step inside the temple. It feels like that day from your childhood again. The priest is standing at the altar and the temple is divided into 2 halves. But you are no longer a frightened little child anymore. You are now a grown man who is about to become a noble. The floor on the common side is there to cause pain. You feel the jagged edges even through the soles of your boots. This pain marks your final few seconds as a commoner. The priest stands before you. You kneel again, but now there is warm, smooth marble under your knees. You hear the words spoken above your head. From this day forth, your lot is strength and will. From this day forth, you will rule, and fight, and pursue the arts. Now rise, noble. You place your lips on the smooth steel of the sword, and when you rise again, you realize that the trembling you felt ever since your first sacrament is now completely gone. You arise a new man, your every motion now uncannily accurate, your thoughts surprisingly fresh, your muscles ready to face the fight. This day feels worthy of a poem, and now you can compose one if you wish. You touch your back. The mark of the lash from your previous sacrament is gone, completely, erased forever. You hurry from the sacrament back to your room at the college. Your father's gift awaits you there. A sword. Your very own sword. Now to celebrate, all college students are invited to the college tournament, then a party. The sword feels wonderful in your hand, a promise of future victories. The tournament begins. The stands are loud with anticipation. Never in your entire life have you seen so many beautiful noble ladies in one place. But there is only one who attracts everybody's attention. The raven-haired, black-eyed Octavia Melanidas, the daughter to the Archduke of Magra, has graced the tournament with a visit. She's wearing a dress of emerald green, her austere hairdo immaculate. She is surrounded by her ladies-in-waiting, all beauties in their own right. When a noble enters the tournament, he must announce the name of the lady whose honor he is fighting for. Many shout the names of their loved ones in the stalls. You know that many would fight for Octavia Melanidas, but the onus of responsibility is too great. You take a few jabs with the sword, warming up for the fight. Soon it is your turn. All eyes are on you now. The young Lady Octavia hides her face behind the fan, yet her eyes watch you with curiosity. So that's what we needed this one for. We can still get diplomacy with this one, right? We never got the fencing lesson. Let's go for it. Address Octavia publicly. You approach the stalls and introduce yourself. Then you muster your courage and address the beautiful Archduchess Melanidas. Will she permit you to fight in her honor? Slowly she rises from her seat. The stalls grow quiet. If you suffer defeat after such insolent words, you may face the ire of one of the ancient Arcanian dynasties. Uh-oh. Young sir, I know not who you are, but you are most certainly a daring man if you wish to fight in the name of the daughter of the Archduke of Magra. I recognize neither your face, nor your name, yet I like your audacity. So be it. I will grant you the honor of fighting in my name. Do not disgrace it. I feel like we may have biffed it. The stalls explode with applause celebrating your courage. The first fight begins. The rules are the same as for any noble duel. Whoever draws first blood wins. Your opponent does not put up much of a fight. A few minutes later, he misses a jab to the thigh. Your shirt is soaked with sweat. The hilt of your sword feels slippery in your wet fingers. From behind her emerald fan, Octavia watches you closely from her seat. You prevail in 2 fights in a row and face a new opponent. You know him well. He was mentored at the prefecture of Eterna after you. He is unusually quick and nimble in a fight. He catches you with a feint and follows it up with an easy jab to the side. Fair enough. 2 victories, not that bad. You salute Octavia Melanidas with your sword, and she gracefully accepts your gesture. You have proven yourself well, young man. Bronte, was it? I make no promises, but I will try to remember your name. The young Archduchess laughs, but immediately covers her face with a hand fan. You leave the arena. You'll remember this day for the rest of your life, the day when you became a noble. We are now influential. Yeah. Good stuff. Graduated from the college. You have earned the judge's mantle and the noble title. I think that is where we are going to leave it off for the end of this episode. Thank you all so much for coming and watching. Go ahead, like, comment, and subscribe. All of the YouTube sellout stuff. Have a good night.